So I think long-term Tesla is an incredible investment. On the short-term, Tesla has these headwinds with higher rates, retooling the factory. So I think if your goal is 1 to 2 months, I don't know about Tesla, but I think if your goal is over the next 3 to 5 years, Tesla is as good of an investment as ever, and it's just a high-valued stock. I'm not a big fan of unions for many reasons. If you work at Tesla, you might get paid less in dollars, but you get stock options. And when the company performs and goes up 1,500% in 4 or 5 years, those employees did extremely well at Tesla. It's pay for performance. Now, if you're got the same pay at Ford, the problem is Ford stock hasn't gone anywhere ever. So, Ford union members aren't saying give us stock. They're saying give us cash, and that's the difference between a really exciting growth company and an old industrial company that's on the throes of sort of the end of its existence.
In this video, new data shows Tesla retail stock investors are outsmarting the big money on Wall Street. Tesla Bull Ross Gerber talks Tesla, and the implosion of GM, Ford and Stellantis continues to accelerate. And check the link to the pinned comment if you guys and girls would like to access a ton of exclusive content. Probably close to 400 exclusive videos across X and Patreon, plus early access to my daily YouTube uploads and plenty more. Check the links below. Well, don't. I won't be mad.
What kind of risk tolerance does one have to have for Tesla right now? I think the chart's fascinating over the last 3 years. We've got the downtrend off the highs, but the uptrend off the lows. By my armchair technical analysis, so Ross, it looks like we've got maybe a month before this thing's got to either break up or down. Which way you think it's going to go? I think I might already know the answer.
Well, I'm not going to tell you which way Tesla stock's going to go. I mean, I wish I knew that for sure. But, we work around valuations, and Tesla's still one of the highest valued stocks in the market based off its forward PE ratio. Tesla has a lot of things going for it, like the Cybertruck launch, and a great article today in the Wall Street Journal about how the mega packs have really stabilized the electrical grid this summer and helped Texas and California avoid blackouts, and all the utilities that are investing in Tesla energy battery systems, which are just revolutionary in our energy system.
Once again, just want to take this opportunity to remind investors, don't sleep on Tesla Energy. This is something that is ignored by just about everyone, predominantly because the big ticket items, the grid scale storage products, aren't retail products. This business continues to scale in the background, barely noticed. And relative to Tesla's current automotive business, it's a speck, but it's growing at a staggering rate. As we know, in the past, Elon Musk himself has said, you can see the energy business growing to be as big as the automotive business. That same automotive business that Tesla's aiming to do 20 million vehicles per year in 2030. Just saying.
So I think long-term Tesla is an incredible investment. On the short-term, Tesla has these headwinds with higher rates, retooling the factory. So I think if your goal is 1 to 2 months, I don't know about Tesla, but I think if your goal is over the next 3 to 5 years, Tesla is as good of an investment as ever, and it's just a high-valued stock.
So a couple of things. First of all, imagine having a 1 to 2 month time horizon and thinking you're an investor. But to Ross's point, 3 to 5 years, long-term Tesla, looking very good. That being said, I actually quite strongly disagree with Ross's point about Tesla being a high-valued company. This would be true if the only thing Tesla did, and more importantly would do in the future, was produce electric vehicles and sell them. But that's the tip of the iceberg. And I mean the tip of the iceberg. The big value beneath the surface, the stuff that Tesla's currently in the progress of developing, running away with, the data flywheel, autonomy, FSD, robotaxis, the humanoid robot expanding the global labor market, their own AI training chip. You've heard the spiel. This stuff, at this point in time, in my opinion, the stock market isn't even considering. And when I say the stock market, I'm referring to big institutional investors, the big money, because retail investors seem to get it. On this topic, I saw this on X a couple of days ago. Absolutely spot on. Wall Street doesn't pay for aspiration. That's why there are so many retail millionaires now from Tesla. I'm sure you guys have heard me trolling relentlessly. I don't know where to stick that in my spreadsheet, therefore I'm going to ignore it. That is the way of a big investor. It's hilarious. I just don't get it. Gary Black commenting on this. Exactly. I don't include any valuation for Robotaxi, Optimus, or FSD licensing deals in my Tesla $320 price target. Imagine if any one of those 3 upside options hits. This is Wall Street in a nutshell, by the way. As I've said in the past, Wall Street would prefer to wait until they are turkey slapped in the face with a huge opportunity that has now already taken place, as opposed to assigning a probability that occurs ahead of time and valuing accordingly, which may or may not explain why Tesla stock today is still down, give or take about 40% from all-time highs, with the company on the cusp of solving autonomy and unlocking a decatrillion-dollar opportunity. The V12 FSD demo, absolute fucking tumbleweeds from Wall Street. How many price targets changed as a result of that? 0, maybe half a price target if you count the Adam Jonas Morgan Stanley price target increase to $400 per share, but that wasn't predominantly on FSD V12. That was on Dojo as a service. And this is the point. Per the post on X, this is why there's so many millionaire retail investors in Tesla, because they saw things occurring before they'd taken place, invested accordingly. So while Wall Street is literally waiting to get turkey slapped in the face with reality after it's happened, and only then can it appear in a spreadsheet in an evaluation, a lot of retail investors are looking, going, hang on a minute, who else could solve autonomy? Who has the data flywheel? Oh wait, no one. Okay, interesting. What about that humanoid robot? It's a long way off, but bro, is Tesla running away with an unassailable lead there too? What happens when Tesla does have excess training compute and can do Dojo as a service? What happens when Tesla does begin licensing FSD to the first, the second, the third, and then the 30th automotive manufacturer? This is, again, just the head-scratching part. I understand it. In Wall Street world, you're not allowed to do anything you're not allowed to do, and you're not allowed to do something that involves thinking about something that hasn't yet happened and assuming there's a probability it will happen, assigning a probability and valuing accordingly. Instead, you just have to sit there and wait. Go, well, I'm just going to ignore this because it hasn't actually taken place yet. I'm going to ignore all the signs that it's likely to take place. I'm going to ignore the probability that it does take place. I'm going to ignore the fact that no one else is going to be able to solve this for years. I'm just going to ignore all of that because that's the Wall Street way. And believe me, I am more than okay with this, because when the big money does realize, oh, that decatrillion-dollar opportunity that all those dickheads on the interwebs kept talking about, now there's proof that they've unlocked it, as opposed to an extremely high probability that they will. Now that there's proof, I guess we better buy some Tesla stock because we can now stick that in our spreadsheet. And now suddenly our valuation for Tesla has quadrupled in the span of 3 milliseconds. Next minute, the big money piles in, next minute, to the moon. Now, this may not happen, but if it does, that's probably what went down. So, while Wall Street's waiting for the big turkey slap, retail Tesla stock investors have already seen what's coming. Check this out. Days on which Tesla was one of the top 3 most popular stocks with retail investors, all the way back to January 2020. The short story here, from roughly mid-2022, Tesla stock has on average been the most popular stock among retail investors, and on the very few days when it wasn't number 1, it was either 2 or, in the rare case, number 3. Now, what could possibly explain this? The strong buying really began around April to May 2022. Wonder what happened around April to May 2022. From all-time high closing price, we saw a huge plunge, Tesla stock collapsing throughout April and May 2022, down approximately 50% from all-time high closing price. Since then, it went lower and lower and lower, with an absolute collapse late 2022. Beginning 2023 at an absurdly low, check it out, $108 per share. Let's see if there's a correlation. Spoiler alert, yes. In short, Tesla retail investors have been buying the fucking dip, and that's putting it lightly. Look at this. Essentially, since Tesla began to fall from all-time highs, retail began buying. As it continued to collapse, more retail buying. And this is just insane. As we saw, October, November, a huge collapse in Tesla stock valuation. And since that point, Tesla stocks on almost every day been the most popular stock purchase among all retail investors. And why did it get so cheap? Because while retail investors were buying the dip, institutional investors were causing the dip by dumping Tesla stock. This has been quite the wealth exchange. And I have to hand it to retail investors. This is some 400 IQ shit right here. Not actually, this is some 100 IQ shit, but it seems like, on average, retail investors on Earth tend to agree that Tesla may be one of the best, if not the best, risk-adjusted opportunities in the stock market right now, and has been since late 2022. Not to mention Tesla running away with an unassailable lead in terms of autonomy, well on track for 20 million EVs per year, the robotaxis, the Optimus spot. And again, I just want to bring things full circle and remind you guys what Gary Black was commenting on. By the way, I love Gary, but I also don't value Tesla the way Gary does, because I am willing to put things in my spreadsheet before I've been turkey slapped with actual numbers from reality. And again, this is why there's so many millionaire and multi-millionaire Tesla retail investors, in my opinion. Take a good look. Anyone here happen to have been buying Tesla stock on any of these days over the last, call it, nearly 3 years? I sure have. Anyway, let's take a moment. All hold hands and pray to the flying spaghetti monster that Wall Street's going to leave everything alone for now, and we'll still have an opportunity to continue buying nearly 40% off all-time highs for a little while longer. Once the robotaxis awaken, look the out.
What do you think about the note from Deutsche Bank's analyst about them coming up shy, maybe a couple 100,000 on deliveries for the year?
I mean, I think it's a waste of energy. Tesla's going to deliver, 1.8 to 2 million cars. They're the dominant player in the EV space. And now with the Ford, plant on hold and, basically competitors sort of dying by the wayside here, Tesla's going to come out of this interest rate cycle in a stronger position than the other car companies, especially many of the EV competitors, which need capital. So the Fed is inadvertently helping, Tesla a lot in continuing its dominant position in the EV business. But worrying about a couple of 100,000 cars, this, that, this is a company that went from selling 100,000 cars a year 5 or 6 years ago to now almost 2 million and on track to, continue to grow at a 40-50% rate. So that's Tesla.
Couldn't agree more with Ross on this. The number of fucks I give about short-term fluctuations in Tesla's quarterly delivery numbers, 0. The number of fucks I give about the long-term trend, all of them. If Tesla has planned factory shutdowns, which they did, and they told us ahead of time, and there's going to be a reduction or a slowdown or a flatlining of deliveries quarter over quarter, it's a complete non-event. It doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. In the future, there will also be shutdowns for upgrades, changes, and so on. Those too will be irrelevant. What I care about is how close is Tesla to meeting their goal of 20 million vehicles produced per year, roughly by the end of this decade. A little fluctuation, one quarter to the next, isn't going to change that. And focusing on the short term is a great way to miss the long-term opportunity. I agree with Ross completely. Total waste of energy. Not even trying to predict Tesla deliveries this quarter. Why bother? I don't care. I'm much more interested in trying to predict roughly when robotaxis awaken. When Tesla's humanoid robot will be able to do useful labor even in Tesla's own factories and then outside of Tesla's factories. But hey, that's just me, some guy on the internet.
It's a fair point. And as far as Ford and GM go, I can't imagine that their situation doesn't help Tesla to some degree. Right. Any read on the workers at Tesla? I mean, is there any risk that this bleeds over there at all?
No.
No? Okay.
No, look, I'm not a big fan of unions for many reasons. If you work at Tesla, you might get paid less in dollars, but you get stock options. And when the company performs and goes up 1,500% in 4 or 5 years, those employees did extremely well at Tesla. It's pay for performance. Now, if you're got the same pay at Ford, the problem is Ford stock hasn't gone anywhere ever. So, Ford union members aren't saying give us stock. They're saying give us cash, and that's the difference between a really exciting growth company and an old industrial company that's on the throes of, sort of the end of its existence, so why wouldn't the union just take stock? Well, they don't want it,
Ross has absolutely nailed it here. And for those of you who don't know, I've been covering this absolute show at legacy automotive manufacturers with the union strikes, both on Patreon and X in exclusive content. You don't want to miss anything. Check the links in the pinned comment to join both platforms. I've been posting near daily updates. So much drama going on, but the short story is this. GM, Ford, and Stellantis / Chrysler are gigantic Titanics, already having collided with an iceberg and currently sinking to the bottom of the ocean. The president of the UAW right now is firing cannons into the hulls of the Titanics to put even more holes so they sink even faster. And many on board think these cannons are helping. Oh, and then there was the whole big guy, the 10%, that guy, yep, pouring gasoline on the fire by attending some of the strikes and stoking the flames, telling the unionized workers they deserve more, which is going to motivate them more to strike more and demand more and ultimately get fired sooner because the companies they work for can't afford to keep them anymore and or go bankrupt. Insane.
One other thing you did say there, which is that the competition dying by the wayside, and I'm thinking about Elon's comments about how the strikes could drive Ford and GM into bankruptcy. He said something similar about Rivian's cash flow. I know you're not a Rivian hater by any means, but they just put in a display Rivian outlet right across the street from Tesla here in the Gold Coast, Chicago. So it kind of seems like maybe the truck side, perhaps Tesla might be losing the edge a bit.
Well, we haven't had the Cybertruck come out, and that's
right.
what I think they're really, working really hard on, because people want Rivians here in LA. Rivians are selling very well in LA. Most Tesla owners are upgrading to Rivian trucks, if they want a truck, because they can't get a Cybertruck right now. And, so we're seeing Rivian do very well. I do look at them as a competitor to Tesla on the truck side, but I think there's enough room for obviously both companies to be wildly successful. But I'm very bullish on Rivian as a product, as a company, and because Elon's alienated so many Tesla owners, many are looking for other EVs to buy, and Rivian's been the direct beneficiary of Elon's X adventure. So Rivian is spending a lot of money, but we expect our cash flow numbers to improve, or cash flow losses to improve over the next year dramatically as they scale production. So I'm not counting Rivian out. I'm looking at the stock very closely in here. I do think they need to raise capital maybe one more time, but boy, what a great brand and company Rivian is.
Okay.
I wouldn't give Rivian more than about a 50% chance of surviving the decade. Certainly orders of magnitude more than most other EV startups. They've got a decent product, still bleeding a lot of money, but they may be able to carve out a decent niche and continue to sell their lifestyle vehicles to consumers. But remember, what Tesla has successfully done, Rivian are still attempting to do. Tesla made the near impossible look relatively straightforward. Don't underestimate the difficulty of the challenge ahead of Rivian and all EV startups. But that said, of all EV startups I'm aware of, Rivian's certainly in a much better position than most. By the way, do you guys remember when Rivian IPO'd at nearly $130 billion? I made a bunch of videos. What the f***, bro? Seriously? Doesn't make sense. Red alert. Well, today Rivian currently around $20 billion. Slightly less absurd, but still, they need to perform multiple miracles just to survive and get to cash flow positive. Good luck.
For Tesla going into the end of the year, Ross, where do you see its connection overall to the economy? Because it seems like that we are getting some optimistic signs, but then we also just went through a period of price cuts, so it seems like Tesla is vulnerable at all. How bad do things have to get for them to start slashing prices again? What does that relationship look like to you?
I mean, if they slash prices again, I'm just going to freak out.
Well, when Tesla does cut prices again, because they will, it's in their master plan, I look forward to Ross running for the board of directors again. Now, I'm sure what Ross is referring to here is slashing prices over the short term as opposed to passing along cost savings. I don't be too much of a douche here. I'm sure that's his intended meaning. But guys, girls, you have to get used to it. Tesla will continue to cut prices on their vehicles on average over time. That's the only way they get to 20 million vehicles sold per year. As I've said in the past, demand is not the issue. Affordability is. And certainly there are many consumers out there today who don't know shit about electric vehicles. They don't understand the benefits. But there are enough consumers out there that are already buying Teslas that Tesla's still selling every vehicle they produce. And the more electric vehicles on roads, especially Teslas, the more people learn about them from a friend, neighbor, colleague, family member. They hear the perks, they go for a test drive. Oh man, it's way cheaper to own and operate. Did you know that? You didn't? Oh, well, cool. Now you do. They're safer too. Did you know that? No? Well, now you do. This has been going on since day one at Tesla and it will continue. And remember, Tesla doesn't operate in a bubble. While Tesla cuts prices, every other company that is sustaining 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 losses per vehicle sold. By the way, I'm not exaggerating. There are literally companies today selling electric vehicles losing more than $100,000 per electric vehicle sold. Actually, even Ford, last we heard, about $60,000 per electric vehicle sold. Tesla's still making about 20%. As Tesla passes on cost savings and or cuts prices further, it doesn't just affect Tesla. It affects every other company trying to sell electric vehicles to consumers and already losing insane amounts of money, meaning they'll lose more money, meaning they decide to either slow down or continue selling at the same pace and lose more money and then go bankrupt sooner. It puzzles me that a lot of people seem to think that Tesla exists in a bubble and that they're not dictating pricing in the entire industry, but they are. Remember, Tesla's plan is very simple. Make their products better and cheaper. And that's not just once. When you get to step 2, you go back to the start, make it better, then make it cheaper, then make it better, then make it cheaper, then better, cheaper, better, cheaper, better, cheaper, better, cheaper. Next minute, you won the decade. And the next. That is their plan. So don't be surprised when we see this happen. In case you guys missed yesterday's video, right now in Australia, to buy the new Model 3 or the current Model Y, it's about half the price of a comparable Polestar vehicle. And last we heard Polestar's losing about 50% per vehicle sold. What happens if Tesla cuts prices even more? And Polestar needs to compete with Tesla on price. And they already can't because they're charging about twice as much. Exactly. This is the same story throughout the EV industry. It's not pretty, unless you're Tesla. So, as the UAW continues to do an excellent job in accelerating the bankruptcy of the Detroit 3, Ford, GM and Stellantis, Ross Gerber remains very bullish on Tesla over the long term. makes two of us. And new data shows that retail investors have been loading the up on Tesla stock. Literally on almost every day of the last 12 months, Tesla, the number one purchase by retail stock investors. Man, imagine if you had a time machine and you go back and start a channel on YouTube for retail stock investors about Tesla before. No such thing as a time machine, so no point finishing that thought. Let me know in the comments below. Anyone watching been buying the dip, or is it just me? Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, snake oil salmon sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment, see you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.